You said special PPE COVID concerns, and I like that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So good job. You were better than you thought you were.
I was going to say, too bad I didn't attend the lecture.
You would actually really like it. She does some really cool stuff. Okay,
I like Ann.
And Dave, take it away.
All righty. Well, so welcome here. Neil always has us know where the bathrooms are and where we're going to meet up in case of an earthquake. And I hope you guys all know where your bathrooms are and stay home in the event of an earthquake. Just wanted to do a couple of things tonight. I wanted to have the supervisors in particular get a chance to look at the CERT survey results and see what, if anything, we have to say or want to change in how we do things. Want to get kind of a quick status on the task list. We've had this hanging around for a while. And one of the things I find helps to keep people motivated is putting them on the spot every month or so and saying, so tell us, what have you gotten accomplished lately? And then I'm not sure what upcoming training and drill ideas are, but I'm sure we'll have some. So let's just jump into the survey unless anyone's got questions or has something else they want to add to the agenda. Okay. I'm going to race through most of these. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, and it's only when we get information that's sort of scary that I'll stop and talk about it. Basically, we had, of the 33 responses, everybody said they were going to stay with the exception of Duffy, who basically has decided she needs to step back from CERT and the fire district. So we're doing okay in the sense of getting everyone to keep on with the group. Next. Victoria, next slide. Thank you. So this question was about, no, that's two ahead. We need to go back one. Ooh, now we've lost your screen and you're on mute. There we go. Okay, can we go back one? There we go. I think this is worth talking a little bit. We had actually 42% who felt like we'd improved from 2019, and given that COVID wiped us out, I thought that was pretty impressive. And I phrased this other question, which was stayed the same, which was good, and stayed the same, which is disappointing. You see, we didn't even get stayed the same, which is disappointing. That's the yellow thing. The other 9%, which would have been what, 3 people, I guess, said that it got worse. And then we had a fair number of people, I think this is also a multiple choice answer, who are basically complaining that Zoom doesn't, match up as well as in-person meetings. A big surprise there. But I was pleased to see that everybody felt like we were doing a pretty good job and that things were actually picking up. Because as you remember, what I have been taken to calling the dark ages, we're pulling things together. I want to congratulate Victoria on becoming full-time and actually putting together a program here and getting people reorganized. Okay, next. This was about seeing whether there were other better ways of getting people to know about meetings, and clearly everybody likes email. We got a couple of other things that said, yeah, I can look at the website calendar or the Los Altos Hills website. This was more about the fact that Los Altos has actually done a lot of their scheduling on their website, but it doesn't really seem to be necessary for our group. Okay, next. There are a couple of questions that were sort of, too much, too little, just about right, and we did okay for most of those. A little weird that the, about the right email was 87%, but had good information was only 21, because nobody clicked had irrelevant information it's not clear what else they wanted. We didn't get a lot of extra information there. Has anyone got a comment on that or feel like there's something else that we could do with the mailing list? Okay, feel free to interrupt and come back to that if you're just having problems finding the mute button. Let's jump forward, Victoria. There were a few complainers, myself included, who felt there were too many meetings. But most of the people thought there were about the right number of meetings, and just very few who felt there were way too few or too few. So I think we can cut back. Victoria and I have had a conversation around trying to organize the meetings a little more formally around sort of introductory refresh kinds of meetings that we could easily invite people to for personal emergency preparedness as well as CERT refresh. And then to build up a second set of meetings that were extended training, right? Like Stop the Bleed, you know, things that go beyond the ordinary CERT curricula, but we'd still think of training. And then there's this other sort of third meeting I think of, which is organizational meeting, where we actually sit down and plan how recon is going to work. Since I'm looking at Larry's picture here in front of me, you know, how are we going to run this next drill? Those kind of meetings are actually more supervisory, but there's no reason why people can't come to those. Okay, this is kind of an eye chart, but half the people thought they were generally useful meetings, and this is sort of the general meetings. Some people felt they were a little unfocused and heavy on administrative sorts of stuff that might just be better done over email. One of the things that I liked here was down at Helped with the Sense of Community, this other long bar. We had a fair number of meetings that were really kind of organized around the early COVID response and making sure that people were just checking in and you know, feeling like there was somebody to talk to if in fact they were somehow isolated. And I was pleased to see that that we got such a strong response there. The rest of this is sort of, you know, right amount, too much social, not enough social, and for the most part we seem to have hit this all right. We didn't get large complaints that it was way too much or way too little of anything. Okay. And here we did the specific training meetings, like triage, head-to-toe assessment, search and rescue, activation process. People felt that was about right. It could even take a few more. Nobody gave us way too many. We had a couple of different, you know, fill in the blank kind of responses here. And you can see again, we're getting the complaint that Zoom makes it hard to do these training meetings. I don't know how we fix that until we get everybody vaccinated and things together. This is another one of those, you know, generally useful, needed improvement, very valuable. And I think we kind of hit this reasonably well. You know, half the people felt they were generally okay. A little few thought they were very valuable, and several people said, "Yeah, could use some improvement." One of the things that I have to complain about the Google system here is this second longest bar that's 35%, 11 responses. Google occasionally drops out the line next to it, and I just was taking screenshots and I still couldn't get this in. Again, we did okay on about the right length, so people are happy with the hour, hour and a half kind of format. And then the one responses are typically fill in the blank, so I tried to put some of these down at the bottom. There's a, this is all one person's response, but basically it says, you know, we're way behind. We have tiny fraction of the size of the group we had a long time ago, and comment that I happen to agree with is that the town uses us mostly for silly tasks and dog work, but the town really needs to get its act together and do better. I happen to agree with that. That's an opinion, but this is, I think, one of the issues with the training meetings. Maybe. Let's go to the next one. Here I just counted up people who said that they wanted to get involved in some other way. So we had 12 people who wanted to assist with the ARC refresh. I had this idea that one of the things that could help recruiting and a sense of involvement would be to have people march in either the 4th of July parade, the pet parade, potentially even the Festival Lights Parade. We could put together a group of CERTs, not helping, just marching, the same way the high school band does. So we had a fair number of people who were interested in the 4th of July parade. Help staff an information booth at the town picnic. We do that most every year, but we actually had people who wanted to do it. Had some people who were interested in organizing the work neighborhood. One of the things that, God, Larry, I think we started talking about this well over a year ago, was this CERT auxiliary sort of a concept. How do we involve people who want to be involved in CERT or want to be involved in emergency preparedness, but really don't have the time to go through the full training exercise. And, if we call that network neighborhood, there's a fair number of people who are interested in that. I tend to call it CERT auxiliary, but it's the same concept of trying to bring people into an emergency preparedness level that's better trained, but not necessarily full CERT curriculum and fingerprinting.
Can I speak on that really quick, Dave?
Yeah, please.
I have kind of an update on that. So I've been talking to Marcia off and on for the past couple months, and I've been bringing up the kind of auxiliary arena, and we talked about doing a medical, or actually more like a citizen corps, and have different areas of the citizen corps. And right when I think, okay, this looks great, this is going to be, because she's like, it's super easy, then all of a sudden we're back to fingerprinting. And I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to figure out a way, and I'm going to need some historical background with some of you guys on kind of what the town has been involved in the past. I know, like Neil had brought up with potentially Carr Cahill and the teen aspect, right? The youth aspect and the liability. I think it would help me when I'm having these conversations with her to just kind of know more background on it, because I definitely am seeing sort of I don't want to say a hard stop, but there's definitely a point where I'm like, okay, this looks good. Sounds like we don't have to worry about it. And then I go, oh, okay, so they don't have to be fingerprinted. It's like, yes, they do. So then I'm like, oh, now we're back to ground zero. Yeah. So I think that's, and I'm starting to get frustrated myself. So I think if we can, if I can have some help from you guys and just anyone that's been involved in that before, that would be super helpful for me, because I have been starting those talks and I just want to kind of gain some, I think, knowledge, so I know kind of how to navigate through it.
Well, I feel like I have ranted at you more than enough, and I'll give other people a chance to get on and make those comments. I don't know if we need to do that right now. Oh, I see Shell went off mute.
Yeah. Yes, I would say this. I was there when they did start all this, and unfortunately we lost some great volunteers from that. And I would say, when you ask Marcia, there's one answer when you ask her officially, but then if you ask her informally, what she really thinks, it's not always the same thing. In fact, I would say she's as frustrated as you are, easily as frustrated, because she sees all the possibilities, and it's a hard stop from someone who's her boss, who's absolutely not engaged. And in fact, systematically across the whole board of all volunteers have never ever erred on the side of helping volunteerism. It's always been on the other side. And when he was, the boss was told that we're going to lose some on this volunteers on this fingerprinting. I mean, there are rules for people that can easily be part of this group, even if they're not fingerprinted. But it was more like an encouragement to shed volunteers. I sound really negative here, but this has been systematic for the 10 years I've been involved. But I would say informally ask her one-on-one, actually, and you'll find out that she is as frustrated as you are.
Here's, thank you for that, Shell. I think that does help. Here's where I think we have potentially some leverage. The mayor is part of our fire commission now, right? And so she's hearing a lot of things that we're trying to do. And also one of the commissioners is going to be assigned to education and community outreach. And so I'm really hoping that we can utilize the commissioner that's assigned to us to help us with some of these things and get these things pushed forward. Because I just think that we're kind of at a standstill with it, and it's unfortunate. At the end of the day, we're gonna utilize whoever we can. Whoever shows up during disaster, we're gonna utilize. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So why not be proactive about it and have a better plan?
Okay, to be proactive, try to get Kavita Tanka as to
It's just me or is he cutting out?
No, Shell's dropping out.
Do you hear now?
No.
I did. Okay. I was going to say liaison.
Hey, Shell,
I think he said
can we
something
drop
about
you now
him.
and come back to you in a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll get in better. Thank you.
Okay, take it away, Dave.
All right. Anyway, I think we finished with this slide. So we actually got a lot of help with the Festival of Lights, although it was the parking for the Festival of Lights last time.
Okay. So now let me go back.
Yeah, well, so this kind of jumps us into the next agenda item here.
Hold on a second.
Wow, that is big font.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right. I don't really know how to make it smaller. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that like huge?
Try Control or Command minus sign.
Try Control Scroll.
What's Control Scroll look like?
Maybe, Victoria, if you hit that 100% to lesser percentage.
Oh yeah, like the view, right? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Better?
There we go. Yeah,
More?
that's better.
Do you want me to do it more?
I think that's good. Maybe
Too
a little
much?
small on my screen.
Okay. Let's stay at that one. How does that look?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So one of the things we wanted to do here was to just get really quick status reports, top 3 or 4 items on what's going on with the ARC refresh. Steve, do you want to have a few words here? I know Victoria is heavily involved too.
Victoria and I talked about things that we could do in preparation to meeting before it's safe to do so, stuff we can do at home. And basically, it's to go through the list and try and figure out what's going to be what we need to deploy first, and try to put that towards the front of the ARC. And secondarily, what's going to be heavy and we need to move that stuff down. And once we figure that out, we can compare lists and then have some outdoor exercise where we put everything outside and lay it out like it's going to be on the shelves, and maybe juggle stuff around until it feels right.
That's good. Okay.
I got my first shot, so another month and a half and maybe I'll have some immunity.
And thank you, Steve. He's done a lot
That's
of,
all.
Steve and Janice has been out there, John Adachi, Linda, there's been a lot of people that have come and helped us at times. So I just wanted to say thank you because it's been obviously a long involved project.
It's hard. It's all been sort of ignored for the last God knows how long, and there's been a lot of refresh. I'm impressed with the work you guys have done. It's nice. Hey, John, you want to talk about the trailers refresh? I know you've been working on that.
Yeah, so a couple things are woven together. One is the status of the generators and the other is supply refresh. So let's see, the most recent thing, when was it? Monday. This Monday I was there. I met Victoria before you left for Colorado. John Adachi was there. We ran the generator at Loyola for 30 minutes. All is well on that front. I'm trying to remember now if we've actually proven that the town trailer generator starts recently. Do you happen to remember, Victoria? Did you start it or did I? But in any event, you're nodding like you know for sure that it has started recently.
Yeah, I started it up when I think Neil helped me put the battery in it and we started up.
Okay, good, good. So, from my point of view, I'll settle in on a personal rhythm that'll be something like once a month. Maybe I'll alternate visiting the trailers. So go to one, then the next month the other, start it up, run it. If there's anyone on this call who is interested in chatting about how we manage the fuel, I would be interested in talking with you, perhaps Neil or anyone else who would want to just have a short chat about that. The basic idea is once you pour gas into the tank, the most convenient way to get rid of it is to burn it off. So we want to manage the age of the fuel at the same time that we're having adequate amount in the tank for the unpredictable emergency event, and at the same time burning it at the right rate. So whoever wants to talk about that, feel free to let me know. In the meantime, I'll just
Quick
start with a
question.
rhythm. Okay, good. Neil says yes. So Neil, you and I will chat. In any event, until we refine it, the idea is going to be run 30 minutes each generator every 2 months or maybe every 1 month. We did a little bit of recent refresh on Monday for the contents of both first aid kits as well as the red emergency kits. Red kits are in good shape. As I emailed to Victoria, the black small first aid kits have some more refresh to go. We have the supplies in place. Basically, I wanted to make sure that the black kits were uniform because when I looked at the first few, some were missing some things that other kits had. So I felt like I wanted to reconcile, get kind of a universal inventory for the black kits so that they all match up to that expectation. I may get to that probably Friday. As I emailed to Victoria, I have to go out of town for about 4 weeks. So I'll either do what I can Friday. If not, I'll kind of hand it off to John Adachi while I'm away. So I guess that's my status.
It's great.
And I know too, Neil has brought up using propane generators and hopefully we'll go to that. I'm just trying to wait to see budget wise. I finally got the assignment for the engineer that's supposed to look at all of the vendor proposals to do the Wi-Fi bridge and the antennas. So I need to figure out what that looks like budget wise because we've been spending some money. So the switchovers in July to the new budget, they added another 10,000 into that. So we should have so I think we're going to be at 35,000 for the budget, which I think we can start doing some of those things. So I know that was kind of on one of the kind of I think it was a medium priority we had for the propane generators. So I haven't forgotten Neil. I'm just kind of waiting to see what we're looking like for the budget.
As long as we want to put a little time in this call on that subject, those trailers have those nice built-in generators, and the dual fuels, I'm not sure would those easily swap into those positions. I could see them being useful as arc generators, but not as much for the trailers. But again, maybe I can offline talk to Neil about that. or supplement, or have them on board the trailers. But what's there now is large gas tanks and built-in generators, and they're pre-wired in, they're wired into the trailer lights. There's a lot of ways that the existing generators are well integrated into those trailers.
Right. Steve, did you have something to add?
I put it in the chat.
Is True Fuel a substitute for gasoline that can be used in a gasoline generator, or is it a whole different infrastructure?
I'm not sure. Can you use it for a lot of 4-stroke engine stuff at home, like lawnmowers and wood chippers and stuff?
Okay.
It's a brand of fuel stabilizer.
And it's frightfully expensive. You buy it by the quart, not the gallon.
Is it an additive or is it fuel itself?
No, it's fuel itself. True
No,
Fuel
it's
a fuel in itself, and I think it's called white gas. Otherwise, they use it at plenty of places. I would say the best is probably trying to get long term is to get gas that doesn't have ethanol in it, like aviation fuel, but unleaded aviation fuel. It's going to become more readily available in a year or two, and then this gas storage or old gas problem will kind of cure itself. Right now, you just treat it. The best you can do is treat it with a stabilizer, and then if you put gas in there and you don't treat it, it goes bad in a month or two. If you treat it, you get maybe a half a year out of it. So I gladly ping me on this stuff. I know this.
Yeah, I'll get you
Inside
on the
out.
thread as well, Shell. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it with motorcycles recoveries for all my life. So, and I dealt with it, especially now with ethanol fuel that they have here. Yeah, so absolutely, ping me on this stuff. I know it.
Okay.
All right. I think, are we done with that? Because I'm up next on CERT contact list. One of the things that we accomplished through the survey is for the 33 people who responded, I got a few corrections on phone numbers and email addresses. And I have put those onto the CERT roster, which is a document we keep on the Google Drive. What I need to do here pretty soon is, yes, send the PDF out to people. My goal would be to issue a new CERT roster out to the membership roughly once a year, just to make sure that we kept updated. And if anybody wants to help me with that.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
I think we're sharing the roster now on the private website.
Oh, okay. Well.
And if not, we probably should or
Yeah.
could at least.
Yeah, I guess I'm just concerned that for a lot of things, telling people it's on the website doesn't do any good. You have to mail it to them and let them print it out and stick it in a binder or something. But I think it's a good idea to put it on the website. I would not argue with that.
Dave, I'm going to switch to your, do you want to talk about the critical infrastructure stuff with the map zone update?
Yeah, switch over to that. Neil and I volunteered to work on map update, and the fire district has let a contract with, what's the name of these guys? Lynx. And Sarah, is it Hendricks? What's Sarah's last name?
Hendricks, yeah.
Hendricks, yeah. Who's another one of the fire district employees, contractors, to start working on specific for Los Altos Hills County Fire District issues. They want to do fuels and fire hydrants, and I forget what else is in there, but it's not CERT. We were explicitly kind of pushed off to the second round of that. But in the meantime, I have been trying to figure out what mapping thing we might use. There's 3 or 4 different free or low cost ways for us to generate maps. I discovered that the Santa Clara County has parcel data that they issue as both CSV and KML files. So I've been downloading all of this kind of stuff and trying to get myself up to the point where I could actually think about putting some map information together. So right now I'm just in the collecting and trying to educate myself phase. And sort of coincidentally, Marcia sent us a list of bridges, which is something we've never talked about before. We always worried about the freeway bridges, but it turns out the town has a list of, what is it, 6 or 8 bridges that they maintain. And she's wanted us to add that to the list. So I have that as a list of addresses and street corners and that kind of thing. But when we actually get around to doing the maps, I'll make sure that I get those put onto the map. The other bit of good news is that from the little bit of conversation I've had with Sarah about this, if we can provide the information to them in a easy to import form, we may well be able to get them to do the map prints for us. We'll see.
She said they could, Dave. She just emailed like 1 minute ago and said if you
Wow.
provide the
Okay.
data, she can try to, she said, yes, we should be able to do that.
All right, well, that's great, because then it's really just, you know, revamping. The thing that we wanted to do with the maps is to make sure that we get the critical infrastructure mapped, take off the people who are no longer active CERT members. You know, the old maps have something like 300 dots on them for CERT membership, which includes people who moved away, you know, dropped out for any number of reasons, including health or aged out or whatever. So just getting that map up to date is one of the things that we want to do. Shouldn't be too difficult in that the parcel information actually includes addresses, so we can take the addresses of the active certs and map that into the parcels pretty easily. Anyway, that's kind of where we are with mapping. I'm trying to figure out how to make something happen there.
I think
I'll just throw in the only hard part, at least the part I couldn't do, let me put it that way, was the importing of the raw zone boundaries. Doing all the little things like dots for certs and all those other things, those are tables in Esri's product, and it's all relatively simple to do.
Yeah. So I'm talking to Peter Evans, who's a Parisma Hills Water District commissioner. I'm not sure what their overview people are called, board member. And he's hooked me up with, what's his name? Phil Witt, I think. Anyway, we're going to discover, excuse me? Somebody know his name?
Yeah, Phil.
Phil? Yeah. So I at least got an introduction there. I'm going to certainly go in and ask if they have those zone boundaries in their database from whenever they were originally generated.
So they do, or at least they did, and I sent you what they sent me.
Okay.
So the problem is they don't use Esri, they use AutoCAD.
Yeah, I noticed that. And I tried to import that into some AutoCAD clone that I'm running, and it complained that, I think, you know, 1 or 2 of the closed boundaries was open, therefore it wouldn't even open the thing. I got to figure out what's going on there. Anyway, probably way too much detail for everybody else, except summary is we're hacking around trying to get the map structure fixed. Okay. Social media and CERT website help. We got anyone here who can talk to that?
I can.
Okay.
So Annie, Zhu and I have been meeting weekly. We have a user interface idea that we're working on, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have version 1 to show everybody and to kind of have you guys look at it, see what you think. We're using some ideas from some other CERT websites, things we you know, kind of like, things we maybe I'm not too fond of, kind of, you know, make it more user friendly. So I'm hoping to have an update at our next supervisor meeting or even our next general meeting on kind of where we're at with that. But she has been really great meeting with me, and I'm not techie at all, so she's definitely walked me through some things. So hopefully we'll have a pretty good update on that, at least the LEH CFD CERT website.
Okay.
I did start adding into the LEH take a class page on the calendar. I did start adding in some things on our regular website, and I'm hoping to you know, get even more pushed out in the months for the scheduling part of it. And then I'm hoping to add the YouTube links to it. I've been really trying to work on getting the hybrid CERT schedule going so we can have a CERT Academy and then also the Teen CERT program. So I should be able to firm that up by the end of the month. And then I'm going to start really working on some of those edits on the actual website. Social media, we haven't done a whole lot with. We're going to link up to the social media stuff that we have currently for CERT, but again, a lot of these CERT the CERT groups have a pretty extensive social media following. Like Camel CERT has like 7,000 followers. They always tell me that every time I talk to them, and it really gets to me. So I'm like, okay, what can we do?
Did you tell them we have 7? So there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Do we even have 7? That would be great if we had 7. That would make me so happy. So yeah, so definitely, I know Drew's a little busy, but I'm going to start hitting some people up. Basically what I've been doing is just sort of, hey, you signed up for this, you know, when can you meet type thing, because I know it's hard to do in a group, get anywhere forward. So that's kind of my update for the social media and CERT website help. I can do backpack upgrade with Neil and Dave and myself too. We do have some items that we've purchased. I'm going to set, after our recon activity this weekend, probably in the first week of March or so, I'm going to set a date that you guys can come, probably at the cars, because I think they offered to let me use their driveway to hand out some of the CERT refresh items. We need to refresh the first aid kits that you guys have. So I will be coordinating that and sending out, I'll probably send out a doodle to see like if there's a day that works for everybody, because it's probably easier for me just to like go out there for like 4 hours and just kind of round robin it. So hopefully we can get that rolling. Anything I missed, Dave, on that?
I just had a question. I was actually thinking maybe we get a quick show of hands. One of the things that Victoria and I have been talking about offline is not doing backpacks, but instead doing a duffel bag. And I don't know if I can pull that up fast enough to make it worthwhile, but there's a CERT duffel bag that's as big as a bread box, maybe a little bigger, more like a microwave. And the backpacks have always felt to me to be sort of unstructured and heavy and hard to carry around anyway. So I leave mine in the trunk of my car. Might as well be a duffel bag. In fact, I don't know if anybody remembers, what's her name, Cynthia Sternbein. She used to carry around like 6 duffel bags of stuff all the time. And I'm not quite there yet, but I have a couple of totes that ride around in the van to do that. And, you know, with the exception of getting out and trying to do a little bit of first aid or maybe throw some caution tape, I just don't feel like the backpack is worth doing. So can we get a quick show of hands here on people who think a duffel bag would be a better idea than
Wait,
the
it
backpack?
assumes that the duffel bag is easier to organize. It's still not just a hodgepodge of stuff you throw in there.
I think it'd probably, well, so the one we're looking at, see if I can pull it up here. It has pockets on the end, if I remember correctly, but it would still be pretty much a hodgepodge.
The ones that we did the refresh on in the ARC had lots of pockets where you could put, you basically organize stuff in it. I'd go for one of those.
Are you talking about the orange one?
The big orange ones?
I don't remember what color they were, but they had lots of pockets.
Is it the ones that we did the plastic bags in? I had
Yeah.
like you and yeah, that's another option too. Dave, those actually, those came in. So I have them in the classroom.
Ah, okay.
Can I
So
throw
maybe
another
we
in
can
the
at the
mix?
next meeting show them, do a show and tell of maybe kind of what we're thinking about those bags. And then we're gonna make some of our bags, yeah, more, I think, trauma kits too. Yes, Mira, it's the orange bag from WPV Ready.
So the idea here is that this would be still an individual bag. This would replace the backpacks for people. I assume you guys can see my screen here.
Yes.
Mhm.
Hope you
Looks
can.
nice. What's inside?
It's just an empty bag.
Oh,
What-
maybe I
it's
put my
well stuff.
backpack in it.
Can I throw another thing into the mix here? Something we might think about is having the small backpack and one of these backpack you can throw over your shoulder, and that you could still carry around. And they don't need to be stuffed full. But I think a lot of the problem is when they are stuffed full, you can't fish out what it is you need in the moment. If you had two of them that were not terribly full, you might be better off, and they each wouldn't be terribly heavy.
I agree. You can make one more of a trauma or one more of tools, right? You can kind of pick and choose kind of what, what you think you wanted to carry in your back and what you would want to maybe just, have,
Yeah.
Available, but not so like be dragging it around, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly. You
Dave, I
might
think
find
that's
one is
really-
optional. One you don't always need. One might do
Right.
well on a drill, and the other times you might want two of them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
If you
and
do two, can you do different colors? So I can tell the triage apart from the tools.
well, you certainly could get non-CERT non-CERT duffel bags. I don't know that you can get a CERT duffel bag in anything other than green.
yeah, I
No.
mean, the shapes would tell them apart for each person. The question is, how do people tell each other's apart? And that goes back to name tags or whatever else you might do.
Yeah.
Colored stripes
Exactly,
on
yeah.
handles.
So by how heavy they are.
Well, and I think too, we talked about refreshing the backpacks themselves. There's some level of that too. We talked about, I think, right when I first started. And again, that's going to probably go back to budget. And, once our budget rolls over, I might be able to do that. I think Neil put like a good backpack in the chat. So that's definitely an option too. We have 10 of those bags. And I think, Dave, we talked about starting them off using them for recon, right?
Yeah, that was actually where this is the one Neil just
Oh, that's nice, Neil.
put in the chat.
That's the Hannibal Lecter one.
Oh yeah, it's got lots of
Wow.
buttons and straps, and that's not a bad backpack. Only
No,
$30. Wow.
That's actually not bad. I mean, that's actually a really good trauma backpack, to
Yeah.
put the trauma stuff in. And then there's enough room to put, gosh, that thing is, wow. And
You
that's
put
not a
fava
bad
beans and
price
Chianti.
either.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually not bad at all. Neil, will you send me that by email?
It's in
Please.
chat. Oh, Victoria, you're going to take roll?
I'm going to send out, I was trying to do the Google sheet, but since I'm sharing my my window, I can't. So, because I'm the one to the PowerPoint. So I'm going to send it out after the meeting. I'll send the Google form. You guys just check in there. That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, so where were we here? Really quickly.
Well, did we come to any kind of consensus on backpacks versus duffel bags? Show of hands for backpacks, like the nice one Neil just showed us. Okay. Ooh, Neil's figured out how to make little hands. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm seeing 5 or 6. How many people would prefer a duffel bag?
How about both?
Yeah, or either. Both.
I mean,
Either or both. Yeah, it looks like either or both is going to be an easy one. Okay.
Yeah,
The hard part is you want,
that's not bad,
if you have to carry it and walk around,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're leaving your truck, almost anything will do,
Mm-hmm.
but I just find backpacks a lot easier to walk a ways in.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree. But there's other stuff that you keep in the bag too, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can probably end up doing both.
Okay.
I look at it as sort of extra supplies, right? If you only you can only carry one thing, you carry the backpack, it has what you need. If you want backup, you want more bandages, you want more of this, you want more of that, it's in your duffel.
Right.
Agreed. And we can, Steve, I agree with you. I like things really organized. And so I think what we could do is, and that's what I like about the orange bag, it comes with an organizational system. We can definitely do something similar to that, because I think that's still a good idea to do in the backpack and also in the duffel bag. It just makes it easier, you're gonna have to rifle through stuff. So it just makes it easier to organize it. So we can come up with an organizational system too for that. 'Cause I
One
think that's-
suggestion is if we make the personal things the backpacks, but what we give each recon team, I think that makes more, perfect sense to be a more of a carry thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So we
Yes,
have
that's-
10 of those duffel
Okay.
bags right now that we ordered. So we already have 10. So we can start off using those for recon, and then people that want an extra duffel bag, I mean, they're $11. It's not like it's going to kill the bank, right? And then we'll move to those. I like those backpacks too. So yeah. Cool.
Dave, I have duffel bag similar to what you showed. I chose a smaller one, nothing fits in it. I get a bigger one, I can't carry it. And this is
So
this is
so
what
you
Sounds
think we
like you
should,
found the sweet spot.
Right.
so we should all get roller suitcases?
That's actually not a bad idea. I'm all about the
It
roller.
wants on my back, I can carry it, but on my shoulder, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll do we'll come back to that and do a survey or something, Dave, and
Yeah,
see
yeah.
some actual data.
Well, and clearly everybody has different wants. Maybe what we do is set it up so you get to pick one or two.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. I think we've covered that pretty well. Larry, you want to give us a brief overview on what's going on with Recon? Because I think everybody here is in Recon.
Yes, thank goodness. Yeah, of course, Sunday is going to be a big day for everyone who has time to do it. I've already learned that some people have realized that there are streets you don't really want to get caught on. Enough said for Sunday. Upcoming though, I had a couple of things I wanted to put on people's, oh, that's interesting lists. And one of them was going to be an actual ham net using Zoom. I know that we've had people say they'd like to do ham radio practice. And so I'd like to explore doing this with everybody's images, just their names, or we pick some sort of identifier, but to get people thinking about what's involved in talking when you can't see people. Zoom is nice, but it has its own set of issues. And then the next step would be actually putting people into exercising their home radios and their car radios. And that brings back the other point I was going to make. Anyone who wants to use their ham radio on Sunday, I'll be monitoring and I'll be happy to check you in and go through all of our regular procedures as if it were a real event, in fact. And with that in mind, I wanted to remind everyone, be sure to fill out the unit log so that you get the practice and we get the information. Enough said. Any questions?
Larry, we can follow up because I definitely have in my plans for next month in March, the training days to do some of this ham stuff that we've talked about. So let's set up a meeting and talk offline and get some dates set.
Sure. In fact, while we have everybody's attention, Any suggestions for what else we might want to do in terms of preparing for recon field activity? And then I want to talk a moment about actually operations at the ARC. Let's start with field and find out who would be actually, who has ideas that we should be trying out, rather than, if you don't want to take the time tonight, email me with them and we'll start building a set of exercises. The other point that I did want to make, though, is we need to start talking about training our people and actually having people prepared to manage the interaction between recon and operations. Dave and Neil have done this in the past. Okay.
Sorry, it was the bottleneck the last time we tried it.
Which is why I want to have maybe the answer is for us to start tabletopping what's involved in that.
Yep.
Because that's the part, as you notice, I say I'm only available for training, mostly because I'm getting old enough that I know better than to stand out in the middle of a rainstorm. So you young fellows who might more likely do that, we've got to still have that information available for people to be able to use. Anil's just put up something that I would like to explore. And so what I'm going to suggest is let's decide. I think the first order of business, of course, is to decide tonight when we would try to evaluate what the reaction from the various people who do Sunday's exercise, whether we try to do that on a particular night or pick our own time to do it. What do you think in general? Should we try to spend next week's meeting to explore what people think about what they learned on Sunday?
So next week's meeting is going to be a CERT refresher with Santa Clara County Fire Department, the disaster psychology.
Okay.
So yeah, so I think we'll have to put it to maybe the next week.
Or a different night. I don't, my point is really that I would like to get maybe even Sunday night. Whoever wants to get on a Zoom meeting after they get home. The closer to the event, the more likely we'll remember the pieces that we wished we had said. What's the general feeling? Would you be generally interested in something after we get home Sunday night?
Why don't we do a show of hands if somebody would, or if you guys want to be.
What time is that?
7 o'clock. We've done a lot of other things at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7 is painful for me, but I'm okay with the meeting.
All right, well then.
I have another meeting at the same time.
Okay, well, what about, I don't want to drag it out too far. What about, well, let's turn it around. 6 or 8, would either one of those times work?
Yeah, that'd be better for me.
Six should
Earlier.
work.
Earlier?
Yeah.
There's no
Steve?
thumbs down. 6 would work for me.
Okay, well, let's give it a try, and I'll send an email out to all the various people and say, if you can join us at 6, that's great. If not, send us whatever ideas you have, or just listen. If you can't take the time to be part of it in active form, just listen to what we say. Sunday at 6, I'll send that out to everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
Enough said.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to follow up with the, one of the things I think we could do with one of the CERT supervisor meetings and invite anyone who wanted to come would be to do the tabletop of the radio. Because when we did this last, we got tied up around who was doing human tracking for recon. Was that ops, or did ops have other things that were going on, and what was the relationship to the incidents commander? And Neil and I forget who else, I think we had a conversation around this, and that was when we decided that having logs and passing logs around as copies was going to be a good way to do that. But I don't know that we ever exercised that to see if it really worked as well as we hoped it would. So maybe that's another supervisor meeting in a month or so.
Agreed.
Okay.
The ICS and Nims training, which is our next thing, we're good with recon, yeah?
Yeah, we're done.
I just talked to Rick tonight about maybe helping out with some of that, so I'll have an update at the next meeting.
Okay.
I know Amita and I talked about doing, I still need someone to help me with the supervisor. We have 3 or 4 people that are interested in becoming CERT supervisors. I think we finally found the manual, right?
We did. I did.
That was a feat within itself. We need to update it. And then I'm going to see to Janice has offered to do whatever we kind of need when she's a great editor. So I think we're going to utilize her editorial experience. So maybe she can help us with that. She's also going to help me with the newsletter as well for CERT. Amita, you're here, right? I know sometimes, I think I saw her.
I see your name on the
Yeah, I know
list.
sometimes she's got audio issues. Amita, just let me know in the chat if you're still able to help with that. And then maybe Janice can help as well. And then, you know, we'll kind of come up with a timeline for Academy and who's going to help with that too. Teen CERT program. So Mira's son, Mahir, has been phenomenal helping me get the Teen CERT program kind of created. Where we are right now is that he and I are working on a proposal. I talked to Marcia. She wants us to turn the proposal in to her. She's going to send it to Carl Cahill and have him look at it. Basically, her and I talked about if we can't get him to sign off on an actual CERT program, we're going to still run a team preparedness group. So regardless, we're going to still pull people in because we need them in our group, right? We need to have fresh bodies and minds, and you know, this is a way to get people involved, and that will also help pull in some parents as well. So regardless, we will definitely have this program in place. I'm hoping in the next month to have them start off on a hybrid program, similar to what we're going to do with adults, do a hybrid academy. I will need help at the end of the academy, probably in, well, you know, who knows with COVID, but the thought process right now is to have them through the hybrid online portion of it before, I think we're looking at mid-July, and then having them do a skills day. Search and rescue is something we kind of don't do too much with the teens. That's pretty much the only thing we don't do with them. But we'll probably give them a portion of that and a talk and train them on it. They can look at it, but there's not going to be a whole lot of physical training on that. But so he's been phenomenal on that with me. And I think Mira has offered to help as well. So we are, I think, meeting, what are we on Wednesday? On Friday, he and I should have our proposal pretty well done and turned into Marcia. So cross your fingers that we can get a response. I'm not going to let it go. So this is something that if I have to continue to go up a chain, I will, because it's an important thing for us to have different age groups involved. It's going to pull in different experiences, different help. Right now, teens don't have a whole lot to do to earn community service hours. So I know that Mahir, just asking his friends, has 23 kids that are already interested in signing up. He's also going to create a board around that. So there's going to be a teen emergency preparedness board or a teen CERT board, depending on what kind of language we're going to be using. And a lot of the kids are willing to do that. We're going to have to go through a whole process with that. So I'm just really impressed by him. Mira's done a phenomenal job with me here. And I've asked to have him put on, he doesn't even know this yet, so don't tell him, Mira, I don't want to freak him out, but I asked him to present at the commissioner meeting everything that we've put together for the Teen CERT program, because I'm super proud of him, and he's been really, really helpful. So hopefully this will kind of propel us into another recruitment area that I think we desperately need. I'm trying to parallel that with a normal hybrid adult CERT program so that at the end of the day in July, everybody will be through the program, the online portion, and we're just gonna need help with skills. So that's kind of my idea. I always need help. So if anyone wants to help me with that, to put that stuff together, make schedules, things like that, that would be really great. But that's kind of what I've really been working on, other than like the loose ends of things that we have project wise. That's been sort of my main focus, because right now, you know, we're in February, the kids still have 4 to 5 months of school. They're kind of, looking for things to do now. They all need to have community service hours. So I'm kind of trying to strike when the iron's hot. Mira, do you have anything to add to the Teen CERT stuff? Not to put you on the spot, but.
No, I think the only thing I might think of is May onwards, the kids, the older kids, if you're targeting like the juniors and seniors, they start having their exams. And so they might not be very available after that. So if anything, by April, we should get them on board and then follow up later again in June once school closes. But that May, June, early June timeframe is very busy for them.
Yeah, that's why Mahir has been so great, because we're kind of looking at, so he's been giving me his perspective on that. So our thoughts are, if we can get something rolling by the beginning of April and give them till mid-July to get all of the online stuff done, that we think that'll be a pretty good target to have them hit, benchmarks. It pretty much boils down to like 2 or 3 hours a month of the online part. So yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. That's why Mahir's been great with all the, I'm like, you're the kid, you figure out what the schedules are and what do you think will work? So he's been so great. I'm just so impressed with him. I just want to publicly say that.
Thank you.
And I'll let him know that he's on the spot. He already said he likes to talk in front of people. So he was perfectly fine with doing that at the commissioner meeting. I'm sure we might be doing it at the town council meeting too. So I definitely get something that we can to kind of keep promoting and things like that. So that's it for that stuff for my parts of the projects. Does anyone have anything they want to add to that part?
I would say I was glad to hear that you said that you're gonna not let it go.
Yep.
In fact, document all the times where Carl Cale's been an obstacle, because the council have been told by him that CERT's biggest cheerleader is him, Carl, and that in fact, if we ever get rid of him as our city manager, the whole thing will collapse and we will endlessly drift around and lost our hands-on leader. The council really thinks that Carl is fully involved in CERT and actually runs the operation. That's what he convinced them of. And you need to document that. And I was trying to say before when I lost the audio, is that you say you want to get try to get a commissioner, try to get Kavita Tanka. She is the key to do something about this. She's the mayor now, and she's the third vote to do something. 2 got in of the 3 that were going to immediately fix this. In fact, we wouldn't even be talking about this guy. He'll be the new city manager, but by 1 vote margin, he stayed. So now Kavita Tanka is crucial, and she needs to hear how broken our city management is, and that he is an obstacle and not a cheerleader. So document this and have a private conversation with Kavita. And if you can rope her in and being the liaison and all those things, even better.
Yeah, thank you. I think too, what we have going for us is that this is going to be pushed out to the whole county, because there's no Teen CERT programs really. So a lot of kids want to be involved in this. And if we're going to be pushed up against a wall on not being able to start it and to really service our community plus our surrounding communities, that's going to be something that is going to work in our favor.
Oh yeah, especially only if you documented it and get it in front of Kavita, because yeah, they're all the hard stops, but they are told that he's all gung ho, and the problem is with you guys.
Yeah, and that's why the first thing that we're going to be doing is announcing it at the Youth Commission conference, and then it's gonna basically keep getting put out from there. So yeah, it's something that I feel really strongly about, and so it's not going to be something that I'm just going to roll over and let go away.
And in fact, if you let me know, I'm heavily involved with getting things in front of the council members, the new ones,
Okay.
that actively bring up things.
Good.
So
Okay.
if they know in detail what you're trying to do and what you want to accomplish, they will just pound that away and go, this is what's going on with this, Carl, and then he mumbles some and it's like, that's not satisfactory. The council have said that you should do this, and then why did that not happen? So absolutely, reach out to me anytime if you want to get the council to at least 3 of them to know what's going on.
Thank you. I should have more of an idea at the next meeting, sort of where we're at. I mean, we really want to shoot for the beginning of April with both CERT Academy for adults and also for teens. So it's kind of a thing. But,
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, thank you. Okay, I'm done talking, Dave. Let me go back to the agenda.
No, okay. I think we're getting close to the end. I just want to tell Shell that if he needs someone to rant at council members, I'd be happy to do that too.
And we are actually tomorrow, we found out what the problem was, the disconnect. It's like, why, there's nothing is proactively managed, or what actually is happening in the council review of his contract. It turns out that our city attorney represents the city manager, and there is no attorney then representing the town. So the city attorney, whom the council trusts, comes up with this, basically becomes the lawyer for Carl Cahill, and he comes up with this some bogus, hey, if the sun rises on schedule and sets on schedule during his year, hey, you must renew the contract. And there's nobody on the other side saying that's preposterous. Objection, Your Honor. None of that. So it's basically so rigged. And we now found out from past council members how this is actually happening. And tomorrow at 1 o'clock, they're going to talk about, and they're doing it completely quiet, but they're going to talk in the closed session about what criteria they're going to use this year. And I'm certainly going to call in and rant the ravens going, well, you cannot be doing what you're doing. Trust. And we got to know, we have the right to know what the criteria was that they used in the previous years. And if the city attorney says, oh, no, you can't. Well, come on, you're the attorney for him. Of course, you're going to make something up. Who's the attorney for us in that negotiation? So we're pushing very hard on this. So thank you, Dave. I really will take you up on it.
Okay. Let's not put this out in front of everybody else though. Anyone who wants to contribute and have felt frustrated, let Shell know and we will get together later. But
yeah,
this isn't the meeting to rant about Carl.
No,
Yes.
I looked at the participant list and I felt like, well, this is the closest mourners that have, kind of the frustration. Yeah, but yeah, no, there's so much more. But yeah, this is not the meeting, but this is the group that kind of share the frustration because you've been around long enough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we did have some feedback on the CERT survey surrounding some of these topics of support and things like that. So, this does go in line with things that, we want to see, change and things like that. So I'm starting to kind of try and work more with the Parks and Rec department and things like that to kind of integrate myself in there. So, hopefully at some point, but yeah, I think that's great that we can think together and get some of our common things, our needs met.
I would say Park and Rec department are wonderful, but that's a complete filter. yeah, that you should in parallel, but that is not how you get through.
No, but
Um,
I think that, I'd like to see joint efforts with that stuff. That's all I'm saying. Just, joint efforts in some of our activities and trying to get us, not, walking dogs, right? Doing some more than dog walking and being out there and more visible, I guess is a better way to say it. Okay, so moving
Park
on.
and Rec Committee, not Park and Rec Department. You do the Park and Rec Committee. You
Yes.
have residents that go, that's a great idea. If you contact the Park and Rec Department, well, Sarah is wonderful, but she got a boss, and that boss is, not helpful. So it just gets killed right there. But Park and Rec Committee, well, then we put it on the next month's agenda. I'm a member of that, associate member. So then it goes on the next month, and we keep track of it.
Yeah, that's great. I
So
think
that can't be killed off.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Let's talk about that offline because I definitely like to look at that.
Yeah, please contact me anytime. Please do.
Okay, thanks, Shell. Just to kind of go over what we have coming up, we've got the Kearney's search and rescue real life scenarios on Thursday. We will be
It's
introducing
tomorrow, Thursday.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Whew, this has been a crazy week. And then we'll be introducing the Teen CERT at the March 7th LAH Youth Commission Conference. Let's do our focus for biweekly training next month for ham communications like Larry was bringing up. So maybe we can talk offline, Neil, Dave, Larry, myself, whoever else wants to chat about what we can put together for the 2 biweekly trainings in March. Also, too, we have shelter fundamentals that we're going to be doing on March 4th. Neil offered to moderate that for us and answer questions, which is awesome. I think I put that on the CERT calendar. If I have not, I will be doing that. And then we're also, I believe, confirmed, we just found out the end of last week, for shelter leadership class, which will be the next class after the shelter fundamentals. I think that's going to be the 17th. Don't quote me on it, but I'll be putting that on the calendar as well. So look for that. And don't forget about our Cal Water Talk on February 25th in collaboration with the town of Los Altos. Drills I had put on there. It sounds like we've got a good one coming up here. And then if anyone has any drill ideas, please let me know. So part of the CERT survey, obviously those are things that we want to improve on. So any ideas you guys have for advanced training that you'd like, anything you'd like to see drilled, those kind of things, please just let us know. For you guys, I kind of look to you as a leadership group. So, any participation that you want, I'm here to support. I can find instructors. I can, do whatever you guys want. But, at the end of the day, I just want to make this more beneficial for you guys. And obviously, from now until we open up with COVID, I want to be able to take advantage of trying to put some programs together and get some things, refreshed and whatnot, like brochures and all that. So once we're out and about, we're like kicking ass and taking names, right? So that's kind of my goal. Enough talking for me. Dave, wrap it up.
I think that's pretty much a wrap, unless anyone's got something else they want to bring up, because I'm done. Do want to say thanks to everybody who gave us status and really for all the work you've been doing offline. What I'd like to see us do with the supervisor meetings here is to sort of catch up on status and, make sure that things are moving along, and use this as an opportunity to call out for help or give away a couple of attaboys or attagirls to people who are getting their jobs done. Really appreciate it.
Agreed. Thank you guys. We're only as good as we give, and everyone's giving, a lot in this group, and I'm really appreciative. Dave, we are going to fix the or kind of update our the CERT logo, the rural one, with the Los Altos Hills name inside it. But I just have to figure out with Annie what pixel size so that we can put it on the website, but we're going to update it.
Okay.
I'm done updating it. I just need to know how many pixels you need.
Okay, let me find that out for you.
All right. Steve, the one answer is enormous is good too, because one of the things we were talking about doing is a magnetic sign that'll be something like 18 by 24 inches. So lots of pixels is good. It's easy to scale down.
Yeah, this one is 1992 by 1147.
Okay. All right.
That's a different language. What does that mean? Does that mean you can print it out in a 11 by 17? That's how I look at it.
I don't think, well,
Yeah, it'll probably do 11 by 17 easy enough. I don't know that, that if you have insufficient resolution as you blow it up, things get blocky or you get, not smooth, rounded edges. But in some sense, it doesn't matter. It's so nice to actually have these things for a change. We can worry about getting them in completely scalable vector graphic at some point in the future.
Okay. So I'll get the answer for you, Steve.
okay,
All
thanks.
right. Cool.
All right. Going once, going twice. Any final comments? Okay. Thank you for coming, everybody. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, guys.
Steve. Good job. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, Shell.
Yeah. So, it's heartwarming to hear that there's actually so many people now from all walks of life now that finally, the garbage contract, the sheriff, he's supposed to be managing the sheriff contract. And because the county sheriff is only, they will only work through the city manager. That's their doctrine. And if he's completely AWOL, well, they just send any deputy, warm body with a badge and in a car. They send, and some are deadbeats and some are excellent. But we and the captain really wants to send us the ones we think are excellent. But but it got to go through Carl, and Carl doesn't want to hear about anything. And if he, and there's one thing about the way the sheriff department works is that you cannot send an email and say, hey, we don't want this deputy to patrol us anymore, be assigned to us anymore, because he just sits at Starbucks or doesn't do anything. Because you got to be verbal to the captain, and then he'll tell verbally to the lieutenant and the patrol sergeants, because otherwise the sheriff deputy union will have a fit. It's a complete violation of the labor agreement. So that's got to be kind of finessed, and they got to take it, be kind of a hands-on. And I done ride-alongs. Now in COVID time, you can't do ride-alongs, but I identified some deputies that I thought were great, and saw others that were just complete slackers. They gladly send us all the gung-ho guys, and especially when there's been we want the ones that are gonna write a really good report. So then the DA will actually, make a case out of it and prosecute. Mm-hmm. And then also have the DAs are political animals, and if we can organize, the ones that write those kind of checks in town, and there are plenty, or there's some at least that have an interest in and that the DA will have an assistant DA that kind of prosecute those, take an interest in the cases that emanate out of Los Altos Hills. And also easier if they're well-written reports. So then we become a kind of a harder target. Right now, like you saw next door, like Vara and so on, they got burglarized and then they got run around, or they're trying to call a detective who's investigating 200 burglaries and get spend an hour with him so he can explain basic police work or investigative tactics and all that. They don't have time for that. So I've been saying like, hey, there's town volunteers that gladly be liaison if city manager is not going to do his job. Others can do that part of it. And where the sheriff department has one liaison, functioning liaison, that they can tell, hey, we are following leads and it's going, here and there, and maybe a gang out of this place or whatnot. But you can reassure the resident that be burglarized, but without saying, but don't tell them these things. Just tell them that you are satisfied that they're actually doing something, but they're too busy, they're so busy doing something. So all status updates will come through the liaison, but then, knows how everything works. That will be immensely time saving for the sheriff department. And it'd be huge for the crime victim that knows that they are working on it, or they better be.
Okay.
And if
Shell?
yeah.
Shell, you're kind of, you're far afield of where I was interested in this, which was CERT.
I thought you also. I thought I saw you posting on when it came to the burglaries too.
No, I was watching some of that, but I didn't post on it.
And so I gotta go eat my dinner.
Me too, actually.
Oh, I didn't even see there was somebody else. I thought it was just you, Dave.
Well,
No.
if I leave the meeting, then you get shut off.
Okay.
I thought
Well,
it was Dave's meeting. Hey, feel free to call me anytime. Okay, that's
all right. So
because this thing about it's urgent. We are doing it right now, and we need all the ammo to Kavita as we can.
okay.
Awesome.
I
Thank
will.
you, Phil. You're the
I'll
best.
make an effort to get in touch with Kavita and talk about how little the town has actually provided assistance to us over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Shell.
Officially from the council it was. So please take care. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Take care.